$100.
Ridiculous. Right, okay. Alright,
Welcome
you
back
win,
to
I lose.
Movie Flix. Today we are going to recap a 1990 romantic comedy movie titled Pretty Woman. Edward, a rich entrepreneur, hires Vivian, a prostitute, to accompany him to a few social events. Trouble ensures when he falls in love with her and they try to bridge the gap between their worlds. And this is where the story takes interesting turns. But before we begin, please consider subscribing to our channel. Now, without wasting any further time, let's begin, shall we? Edward Lewis is a high-powered corporate trader from New York who buys and dismantles falling business before selling the assets for a profit. He wants his girlfriend to accompany him to a business trip, but she is tired of being his back-to-call girl and breaks their relationship. This all happens at his partner Philly Stuckey's posh party, and he decides to let loose in Stunky Lotus. He gets lost and ends himself on Hollywood Boulevard in the city's red light district by accident. Vivian Watt, a prostitute, meets him there. He asks a hooker for instructions. She charges him and then enters. He pays Vivian to drive him to Regent Beverly Wistral Hotel because he is having difficulty driving a manually transmission automobile. Edward then hires her for the night on the spur of the moment. He invites her up to his penthouse room on a whim and pays her to stay all night. Despite his initial discomfort and despite some awkwardness, he finds her charming and gets along with her. The following day, he invites Vivian to play his girlfriend during a series of business gatherings he's attending while seeking to take over shipbuilder James Morse's company. Edward offers Vivian $3,000 for 6 days as well as money for clothes and tells her she must be at his back and call with no attachments attached. Vivian enthusiastically accepts. She contacts her roommate Kit and asks her to give her money for the rent and then goes shopping on Rodeo Drive for more acceptable clothing. When she tries to go shopping on Rodeo Drive, a snooty saleswoman refuses to serve her because she is still dressed like a hooker. So she returns to the hotel when she is stopped by the hotel manager, Barney. He wants to make it apparent that having her at the hotel is an exception because Edward is such a special visitor. Vivian becomes unhappy since she still does not have an attire for the dinner, and Barney assists her while also instructing her on proper dining etiquettes. When Edwards returns, he is amazed by Vivian's metamorphosis and opens up to her about his personal and business life, especially his connections with his late father. The next day, Vivian tells him that her shopping adventure the day before and Edward brings her back to spend an exorbitant amount of money on clothes, leaving her to return to the work while she's converted from hooker to a lady. She returns to the previous day's shop to show them their huge plunder. Back to the hotel, she appears to be a genuine guest, but when Edward returns home, he's still preoccupied with work and they take a bath together and talk late into the night about their past and how they got up where they are today. Edward brings Vivian to a polo the next day. Philip is concerned that Vivian is a corporate spy while she's speaking with David Morse, the grandson of the man engaged in Edward's newest deal. Edward confronts him by explaining how they met and that she's a hooker. Later in that evening, at the event, Philip proposes to Vivian when they return to the hotel. She is furious with Edward for telling him and intends to leave, but he persuades her to stay for the rest of the week. The next day, Edward leaves work early to fly Vivian to the San Francisco Opera to watch La Traviata. Vivian is moved by the story of a prostitute who falls in love with a wealthy man. "If I fail to tell you later, I had lovely time tonight," she says, evidently moved by the music. When they come back to the hotel, he falls asleep while she is getting ready for bed. Vivian then kisses him on the lips, something she never does with her clients, and they make love as partners rather than client and a hooker. Vivian confesses her love for Edward after incorrectly believing he's sleeping. Edward's return to New York is imminent, so over breakfast, Edward offers to help Vivian get off the street by putting her up in the luxury condo and giving her an allowance. while vowing to see her on regular basis so he can continue seeing her. But she is offended because Edward continues to treat her like a prostitute, and she says that this is not fair and it ain't a fairy tale story that she desires. He then leaves without fixing the matter. Kate then arrives at the hotel and notices that she has developed feelings for him, but she denies it. When Edward meets Mods, he is about to seal the deal when he changes his mind at the last minute. His deal with Vivian taught him a new way of being. He prefers to make things rather than merely make money. Instead of dissolving the company, he chooses to collaborate with Mods to salvage it. Philip is outraged that Edward's new path has cost him so much money, and he heads to the hotel. Vivian is present and he accuses her of altering Edward's character. He tries to rape her and then strikes her, but Edward arrives just in time to pull him off. Edward then dismisses him and throws him out. Edward begs Vivian to stay with him one more night once his business in LA is completed, but only because she wants to, not because he will pay. She refuses and walks away. Vivian is later seen at home with Kate, packed for her trip to San Francisco. Edward reconsiders his life and has the driver divert to Vivian's apartment building. While being transported to the airport, he climbs out through the sunroof of the white limousine and up the fire escape to kiss Vivian, conquering his fear of heights and metaphorically realizing her fairy tale fantasy. And this is where the movie ends. I hope you enjoyed it. As always, until next time.